They just had a blue one, got another one on the way.
We will hold that against you. Good day.
Good morning, everybody. Well, I guess if you like sunny and crisp mornings, you're lucky. Which I really like. So. Good to see everybody here this morning. Let's start with a word of prayer this morning, please. Father God, thank you so much for this day and allowing us to come here and study your word, God. Glorify and praise you, and just thank you for all the things you do for us, Father. We're most especially grateful for the fact that you sent your son Jesus Christ to serve and die for us. God, just be with us as we look at your word, study your word, and help us to take to heart what we learn and share that with others and not just keep that to ourselves. God, we're so grateful for everything you do and all the blessings, physical blessings, Father. We're just also grateful for the spiritual blessings. And once again, just most grateful for Jesus Christ. It's in his name we pray. Amen. So in the world today, we talked about this a while. We were talking about that again. It seems like you can not only make up words a lot, but also some words that we've had that have been around that people seem to try to make them mean different things than what they are, or they try to fool you. One recently that's been in the news a lot also is quality versus equity. You really need to watch things like that because those are two different words and they have two different meanings. So, quality means that we all just have the same opportunity. And equity is they see somebody that hasn't done as well and they try to take from others to do that. So that's totally two different things. So this morning I'd like to talk a little bit about justice, or just as it is in the Bible, which Webster says justice is a just behavior or treatment. So is it true, especially today, is everybody equal under the law? You hear that a lot too. Is it?
That's what they say.
And I go ahead.
It's a legal answer,
Sure.
but it is not the truth. If you ever served under the jury, you know that it is so messed up.
Oh, absolutely. Still the best there is of what we have, I guess.
Well, it's better than anything else I'm gonna you're right, I'll say that, but it still isn't good.
I bet Brittany Griner would agree with that.
Yeah, it's but you know what? It's not just today either. We think about it because we're here now, but it's been that way from the dawn of time. So let's turn to Matthew 23:23. Someone read that for me, please.
Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others.
What do you say the weightier matters are? Yeah.
But he also throws in their mercy.
Yes. Yes. So let's turn to Habakkuk 2:4. Can somebody get Hebrews 10:38? We talked about the just There are a lot of K's in the back of the car.
Yes. Couple of them that you don't seem to use very much.
That's right.
What was the scripture?
2:4.
See, the enemy is puffed up. His desires are not upright, but the righteous person will live by his faithfulness.
Hebrews 10:38.
But the righteous one shall live by faith, and if he shrinks back, my soul has no pleasure.
So what it said of the just under the covenants.
If they'll live by faith.
Correct.
A lot of times you see that interchange of justice and righteousness, they mean the same thing, doctrine, what is right,
Correct.
fair.
Next verse goes on to say, those who live by faith preserve his home, preserving his home.
Right. So are there some folks that are required more than others to be just? Let's go to 2 Samuel 23, verse 3. Second Samuel 23, verse 3.
The God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spoke to me, thank to me. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in the fear of God.
Yes, Dave.
Let's preface this as you started by saying that when you talk about justice, there's spiritual law, which we can discuss, moral law of eons and eons overlaps, common law, which was present then and is present now in some form or another, and statutory law. So you gotta know which one you're talking about and what you're saying and what it may be joined to when you make your discussion. Because if you don't, it's confusing. So think of it as spiritual law, moral law, common law, or statutory law, which has been put down. And then sometimes there's some overlapping, but then what you say as you're going today will make sense.
I think everything goes back to what, God
Goes back to
said
spiritual
is
law.
what just,
Yeah.
what's
Or
just.
moral law. Right.
That's one of the problems we have today, though.
We've changed God's law and broken it down into things that there are lesser degrees of severity. And be careful you preach my sermon.
That doesn't always seem to happen.
Right, Roger, one more thing.
Yes.
When these politicians run out of statutory law to talk about, and they start gaslighting us, you can always tell when they're deep in the hole, we're down the rabbit hole, they don't have an answer. Because when they start talking about statutory law, and they don't know what they're talking about, or they're using the wrong example, like First Amendment stuff, which is coming up today. There's one more thing, they always end their statement with the moral law. Well, it's morally or publicly, the court of public opinion would say this. When they say that, you know that they have lied to you 100%. So when they end their argument, statutory argument with a moral argument, guess what? They're gone. That's a lie.
Yeah, but that's one of the problems,
Most people they don't realize it. They can't see it.
what God says is law, and what God says we need to do, it's been twisted around today to, well, if you're moral, you would say that it's okay, to do this or that, whatever it might be. If you're a Christian, you really love people, you'd do it.
Yeah,
So
they always put that moral at the end. And when they put it at the end, you know it's a lie. It's the biggest lie you'll ever see. You might as well put lie, lie, lie.
Let's look at Amos 5:7, verse 7, verse 12. So you talk about today, I mean, and even if you get into the law, you know, the courts and all, judges and such are supposed to be required to be just. I guess, you know, we have the justices of the Supreme Court, so when we're talking about that, but sometimes that does not happen.
Amos what?
Amos 5:7, and verse 12 also.
All you who turn justice to wormwood and cast down righteousness to the earth. And 12 is it?
Yes.
For I know how many are your transgressions, and how great are your sins. You who afflict the righteous, who take a bribe, and turn aside the needy in the gate.
So the wormwood's something that we hear a lot today.
If you read the screw tape numbers,
What is wormwood? What's the reference here?
dead trees, dead animals.
What's he talking about turning it to wormwood? So up here,
I was thinking it was a bitter spice, which I know it's always referred to as something that's not good.
Yeah.
Something with no value.
One of the big deals now is though, you know, when I was building a lot, you didn't want those wormholes in your wood, but that's kind of a big thing now sometimes. They pay more for that and build stuff with that.
Remember when people kill pine, so it was popular,
Yeah,
when that little bit of wood.
that's right. All right, let's go to Colossians 4:1.
Master, give unto your servants that which is just and equal, knowing that you also have a master in heaven.
What's he telling us here? Doesn't matter who you are. It gets twisted today too, doesn't it?
Also pretty clear to employers how they are to treat, how they should treat their employees too.
You get a whole lot more work done. Treat people right, than you will if you treat them like an ogre. There's kind of a fine line there, though, you know. I found, you know, having a lot of people working for me at times, you want to involve them and give them a say, then you got to watch that fact. They might start trying to take advantage of what they're. But usually I found out if I would involve them in what we were going to do and ask them what they thought. I mean, I actually changed some job plans sometimes because of what the field hands would tell me. They saw something I couldn't see, so.
When I was working, I had to hire many providers to come in the house and take care of caregivers.
Right.
And I found that if I would work beside them and let them know that I wasn't the one that wanted to work myself, they could get a lot more out of it.
Sure.
I think that's true in most situations.
Yeah. I jumped down in ditches before because somebody was in the bind, and
Yeah,
then sometimes they tell me, hey, boss, you don't need to be down here, but, you know, if you see a need, it's just a story.
There's a very successful businessman, and I don't call him Dennis Longley, that he watches what's going on in his business. And if he sees his employees getting done, he gets down there and works right along beside them. And he, you know, he's very successful. And he's very highly regarded as a person too.
Right. So let's go to Titus 1. 5 through 8. I would think there's folks here that need to be just for sure.
Three.
Yes, sir.
For this reason, I ask you to increase, that you might set an order for what remains, that one elder in every city has refuge. Namely, a man be above reproach, the husband of one wife, having children who believe, not accused of dissipation or rebellion. The overseer must be above reproach as God's steward, not self-willed, not quick-tempered, not addicted to wine, not pugnacious, not fond of sordid gain, but hospitable, loving what is good, sensible, just, devout, self-controlled, holding fast the faithful word, which is in accordance with the teaching. And he may be able to both to exhort with sound doctrine, and refute those who are guilty.
So do we need just church leaders?
Read so.
Is that always the case? Same thing seems to happen in the church out in the world, isn't it?
Probably because they're both made up of human beings.
That seems to be the common denominator.
But as we study and grow as Christians,
Well, he gave this as, qualifications for selecting leaders for the church. It's an extremely good, measuring stick to use for selecting any kind of leader.
About just members.
yeah,
But I was thinking governmental leaders, something like that.
Yes,
there's
absolutely. Which,
actually the only qualification for elders is not qualification for Christians, is husband of one wife.
right. Yeah, we all should be able to check off those boxes.
But what I was gonna say is, if we're walking on the line of season like studying and growing in grace, these things are gonna happen, we're gonna become these people, if we practice what we learn, and practice what we teach. We'll become more just and merciful and loving and stuff, it's just kind of it's a process.
Right.
Happening overnight. And we found out that some of the things we learned in our walk just in the world, we get a lot of our education that way. It's not exactly right, strictly for Christians. It's not exactly, it's not right, period, for Christians.
Yeah, it's kind of like telling the truth. Tell the truth, and it's a whole lot easier. It's like it's easier if you do the things you're supposed to do as a Christian, it becomes a whole lot easier.
I was thinking, about telling the truth, I was thinking the deal they say about people who'd rather climb a tree to tell a lie, to stand flat-footed on the ground to tell the truth. And, you think about how hard you work to hold on to these the things that we've learned that are not exactly right, that are not right for Christians.
So let's go to Acts 3:14. And if someone would get Acts 7:52, and then Acts 22:14. See how Jesus was referred to in his scriptures. Acts 3:14, 7:52, 22:14.
The first one, but you disown the holy and righteous one and ask for a murderer to be granted to you.
52 says, which of the prophets did your fathers not persecute? And they killed those who announced beforehand the coming of the righteous, whom you have now betrayed and murdered.
Then he said, the God of our ancestors has chosen you to know his will and to see the righteous one and to hear words from his mouth.
So how was he referred to? The righteous one.
Well, I don't know, 22?
I'm sorry.
22:14.
Yeah, 22:14.
And he said, the God of our fathers appointed you to know his will, to see the righteous one, and to hear a voice from his mouth.
Wouldn't it be great to be called righteous? Yeah, absolutely. So Proverbs 21:3, look at that. Talks about what's more acceptable to the Lord than our sacrifice. Proverbs 21:3.
To do righteousness and justice is desired by the Lord more than sacrifice.
What's more important than sacrifices? Then let's go to Luke 20:20. Question is it possible to pretend to be just and not really be? Oh, Lord. Luke 20:20. 2020. Sounds like Bible.
So they watched him and sent spies who pretended to be sincere, that they might catch him in something he said, so as to deliver him up to the authority and jurisdiction of the governor.
Do you all have trouble with that today? Dealing with certain people? How about just us in general being Christians? Some folks would rather catch a Christian in something than they would just somebody who's not.
That way they can say they can't go, they don't wanna go to church with somebody like that.
I have a personal relationship with somebody really close to me. The reason he stopped going, because he wasn't going to go up there with all those hypocrites.
As I have said before, I don't understand people letting another person's sin send them to eternal damnation. I've got enough of my own to without thinking of somebody else's.
It's a cop out. I mean, you can find any reason that you want to not be faithful, and I didn't like what she had on last Sunday, so she's, anything. So yeah, but it seems to be worse I'd just rather somebody just be the way they are than to, sidle up to you and try to act like they're doing the right thing and turn around and stab you in the back.
Well, we're all sinners and we all have weaknesses. And all of us have different weaknesses, and some of them have some of us have some of the same weaknesses in common. But just because something is not my weakness doesn't mean that it is a really strong problem for somebody else. And who am I to judge when my weaknesses cause me to do things just because that other person has a different weaknesses that might cause that person to do something that I haven't done or wouldn't do, or think I wouldn't do. But I stop and ask myself before I say that, have I had an opportunity? And if I haven't, I tell myself, you don't know that. And try to put that behind me.
Let's look at Luke 16:10.
He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust is in the least is unjust also in much.
So why do we need to strive to be just in little things?
The little things don't bother me, big things won't. That's
Right.
your character.
Practice. Maybe.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Right. I used to use that statement a lot with children, and it's like, sometimes I don't know, it's, you know, why do you do this, why do you do that? It's just the right thing to do.
Roger, I think, kind of like when you're doing a project, like a building or a school or whatever it is, if you can compartmentalize enough, do it a step at a time, a little piece, you know, minute by minute versus looking at it in the dirt, looking at the finished product, and you can do, I'm gonna do this much this day, this much this day, and next, and plan accordingly. Whether you have 100 guys or it's just you can handle that, and then as you do that, and you get better at doing that way, you'll be able to expand more and be able to handle more versus, I mean, I work with some guys, they cannot handle more than one thing at a time. And if you have them a whole project, they'll start here, and by the time you know, there's 800 little starting points, and you're like, what in the world are you doing? And it makes it harder if you go behind them and trying to help them versus if you just pick up point A and go for it, and then as you get better, stronger, or whatever it is, Christian, you can do it easier.
Yeah, it's just, dealing with certain people with ADD, ADHD, that's the way. You cannot give them like, if you give them a test and it's 4 pages and there's 25 or 100 questions, they look at the whole thing, they just kind of freak out, can't do it instead of just taking it one thing at a time. And like, you know, if we don't do it, things right, the little things, then that's gonna bleed over into the major things. You know, become complacent. So. Turn to Job 12:4.
I am a joke to my friends, the one who called on God, and he answered him, the just and blameless man is a joke.
Read the 5 and 6.
That's it. He who is at ease, both calamity and contempt, is compared to those whose feet slip. The tents of the destroyers prosper, those who provoke God are spirit, whom God brings into their power.
You agree with Job's observation here? Yes, no? So what's he telling us?
The people who are righteous are looked upon as a joke. In verse 3, because I have intelligence as well as you, and I'm not inferior to you, and who does not know such things as these? Well, they're not really helping.
But no.
I'm sure they like it.
Oh. It wasn't just 20 years or 30 years, was it? Yeah. But you know,
Build the ark with their rain.
he stayed the course, you know. Seems to be a common theme today, to laugh at people who have faith for Christians. You know, you believe on something that you can't even see.
If you're living, you can see that.
Sure.
You know, the perfect example of that hypocrisy is football. How much fun of Tim Tebow did they make, and how much they ridiculed him, and he was such a pariah. And then you have a couple of weeks ago, this man having the cardiac problem on the field, and they're calling for everybody to pray for him, and they're, you know,
Yeah.
now you can't have it both ways, you know, and
Kind of like 9/11,
Yeah.
Yeah, same deal.
Hang in there.
But I've also noticed that a lot of athletes that, when they interview them after the game, they interview them 2 or 3 times and they give God the glory first, you know? You don't see them on interviews anymore.
Right.
I kind of watch that closely.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, we don't want to talk to him or her
Yeah.
because, I'm sorry, I said him or her. Them.
There's a lot of people who are that, we pray when there's problems.
Yeah.
It's something, you know, but then when our lives are going good, do we pray and thank him during those times? Sometimes those are the ones that get left off the most. We call on God when we need him. We don't, you know, walk with him or talk with him when things are, well, when we feel like well, I don't need him because I can take care of whatever. We need to walk with him every day, thank him for the good things, ask him for help always in everything that we do.
One of those because of our loss, people let the church shut down, our folks were moving on.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at Luke 14:14.
I shall be blessed for they cannot recompense thee, but I shall be recompensed at the resurrection of the just.
So where are the just going to receive their recompense? Is that worth waiting for? Is that worth doing the right thing?
Right, I think that's the end result we want to be.
Yeah. It's a lot more important than acceptance in the world today, isn't it? Seems to be a problem for a lot of folks, so. And this has made it worse than anything. Do you like me? Like me, please like me. Yeah. And I don't know about the others, what you do in them, but I know there's probably some things that, I've seen some people that are, their title is influencer. What exactly is that?
Who are they influencing? Everybody.
I mean, what do you do? Oh, I'm either an internet star or an influencer. I guess that's just, I don't know what that means, but that sounds pretty shallow to me, but. And who are you influencing? How are you influencing? So let's look at Peter, 2 Peter 9. See about the future of the unjust. 2 Peter 2:9.
Two and nine. Yes,
2 Peter 2:9.
and if this is so, then the Lord knows how to rescue godly people the unrighteous for the day of the judgment while continuing their punishment.
So is there any hope for the unjust on Judgment Day?
They'll do what's right.
Just have it.
If they are unright,
Yeah. That's a good one. Anything you like. So, we need to be just. I don't want to be unjust. So why is it so important that our judging systems give justice? Sorry.
That's a good question. Where would we be if there was not God's standard for righteousness and unrighteousness? How would we know what deserves punishment and what deserves praise? You know, our court systems would fall in a heartbeat if there were not the laws of God to determine morality and righteousness, right? We wouldn't even know how to treat our kids if God didn't show us through his infinite wisdom and mercy on how to raise a family.
Yeah, what if human nature was just the way we did things and the way we treated people and that? But, you know, you said our system of justice, it's almost kind of becoming that way, isn't it?
It is.
Where we don't punish people for things that, you know,
We kill millions of babies. You know, that,
Well, that's the way he looks at it, so he's free to think that way.
Mark Levin defined that as saying that with the rules and the leadership, spiritual leadership, moral leadership we had from, which is combined as we've seen it after generation, he said there are 4 steps. Number 1, you have liberty, you have freedom, you have a better life. If it's taken away from you, censorship, so on, is tyranny. And the next step is chaos in the society. The last step is total revolution. So when you're aware of those 4 steps, and it's been common for thousands of years, you know where you are.
Yeah.
You either have the liberty or you're facing tyranny, which we face today.
yeah, what about, you know, raising your children? If you don't have that sense, or are you gonna,
They and them and it.
huh?
Then you get they and them and it.
That's right. You also, are you gonna, no, there's not supposed to be favorites. You're gonna treat your children differently when it comes to justice.
Sometimes it seems we need to treat the animals better than we treat people.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely. I change the channel when those come on about the, and those,
And that's, I don't mean.
no, I'm not being,
treat animals, but sometimes it looks like that we're heading toward, you're gonna be put in jail for mistreating an animal, but you can kill your animal.
that's right. Yeah, we need your money, but let's go ahead and kill those babies.
I know everybody doesn't think that, we
They should,
kind of get that idea.
yeah, well, absolutely.
So
So,
sometimes your children know the way you handle, you know, justice for one, it's not as justice for another. You could have beat me over the head with a 2x4, you get it into my head, and you might not have had to handle that for one of my brothers.
right,
Same thing with my kids. Like, oh, you love her more? No. Yeah, we're interested in different things. I can handle her different, or handle whatever. And that's, you know, it's not true. I love each one of them the same. Now, there's certain qualities about each one that are more interesting to me, or appeal to my heart different. But I don't love any one of them more than the other, and justice is the same.
right. Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get there, just so it's the same, because it's true. I mean, different personalities are different. You get different results. Y'all think that most people know what's right, what's just and unjust, just by their nature?
To a certain extent, people do have a notion as to righteousness and unrighteousness.
But it's
But that needs to be taught, very much so.
also very learning, like most behavior, it's learned from, starting off from the environment which we're born into. So it's the osmosis at that time. And then later, we learn by studying or hearing or being taught.
Well, if you think about it, did Cain know he was doing wrong when he killed Abel? He had attitude and sass about it to the Lord, but
Sure did.
there wasn't any written rules on time saying, don't kill your brother.
Well,
I'll
they
show
are.
you how far that really goes in mission work in Jamaica. I don't know how many years it's been a society where the father is totally absent. And he might have 3 or 4 women that he has children with, and those children never know their father. Well, the next generation is young men that do the same thing and do the same thing. Now we've had that for 3 or 4 or 5 generations. Then you go in and you teach somebody the truth on marriage and divorce, and they cannot comprehend that idea. And I guess it's the same here in the United States. We have stopped teaching in the church that you can just divorce for any reason and marry again. And it's gotten to where trying to find elders can be almost impossible because people don't realize in their early life, they have destroyed what they can do in their later life because they married and divorced and married again. We're not anything except fornication.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like, you're right. I mean, it's like the so-called nuclear family.
Yeah.
The destruction of that, you can just see right about what's happening.
Let the government pay for our kids, take care of them, and put them all on welfare. Wow, your dad has to do nothing?
Kids don't get any education and moral upbringing. And they have they come into first grade with a gun and shoot a teacher.
Yeah, 6-year-old.
And, you know, I mean, under God's Old Testament law, I think the parents would be given the responsibility to correct that. And if they did, they would have been stoned.
Right. It's just all turned upside down. You know, it's, I think most people want justice from God or mercy.
Mercy.
Why would you want mercy over justice?
We know we're wrong. We don't want what we really truly deserve. Because if that were the case, all of us would be condemned to hell. Because the wages of sin is death.
That's right. There's no way out of that.
But then it comes in handy when you think about like what we preached on last Sunday. Our enemies that have misused us, we somehow know that God is going to make that right. That involves the other person getting their comeuppance. Somehow, right, we get some satisfaction from that.
Right.
I don't know how that's supposed to work or how to get past that.
Yeah, that's same way in families. I remember, I think my oldest brother really enjoyed seeing me get my legs switched. Yeah. You know. Probably enjoyed seeing me. Thank y'all.